I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Screen Snark, the movie podcast about movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I'm JMike Folson.
I'm Case Aiken. And this is not the usual host of the show. This is Screen Snark, which is a movie podcast where we talk about the movies that we've recently watched in order to sort of jump off into basic topics. But we're not the usual hosts. Like, we are the hosts of the Men of Steel podcast on Certain POV Network. And we're happy to be the guest host for the day. But to help us out, we should introduce our guests. We've got...
I'm Ben Milton.
And I'm Addy Thomas.
We're from A Certain Point of View,
Yep.
The podcast.
But more importantly, you're also
the
part
Scruffy Nerfherders
Yes,
with
there we
these
go.
two guys.
which did not actually make the cut for the round robin because of the way the breakdown went. So it's kind of nice that we're kind of getting a double whammy here.
Yep.
We've got the host of Men of Steel, who happen to be on Scruffy Nerfherders, and the rest of Scruffy Nerfherders. So in the spirit of this show, why don't we talk about the movies we've recently seen? J-Mike, do you want to take a lead?
Oh man, the last movie I saw was actually Into the Spider-Verse. It's my first time seeing it.
No way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was so good.
Right?
I was not expecting it to be that good. And like, it hits you emotionally at first, which I wasn't expecting because I was like, oh, it's Spider-Man. Oh my God.
Right?
He dies. Spider-Man dies in like the first 7 minutes. And then it's the coming of age story of Miles Morales. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have to watch it again.
Yeah.
See, what really got me with the he dies part of it was I was already into the art style. Like I thought that was really cool.
yeah.
But I think I just knew too much going into the movie because I knew that it was Jake Johnson who was going to be the voice of Peter Parker for the majority of the movie. And I was like, wait, that sounds like Chris Pine.
Right. Yeah,
Is
you
that
knew it
Chris
wasn't
Pine?
him.
And wait, he was blonde in the flashback. I'm guessing it's a different realities version. That's fine. But wait, isn't it's still supposed to be Jake Johnson? I didn't realize that every one of them was going to be their own voice. I knew like weird characters. I knew that like Mulaney was playing Peter Porker.
Right.
Like, but I didn't know that literally every version of Spider-Man was going to have its own voice, even if they're all Peter Parker. Like, that part surprised me, and so that threw me a little bit. So I was like in a weird headspace when it's like, oh fuck, he just killed him. But was that Chris Pine? Like,
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what's funny? Just to jump ahead, actually, the last movie I watched was Into the Spider-Verse as well. This has though been my fourth time viewing it at this point.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Did you
that the
cry
movie?
again this time?
No, not this time.
You
'cause I was
cried?
Proud of you.
There was a moment. There's a moment that gets me. There's like a
Wait, before we go any further,
Yeah.
was that the movie you were going to bring?
Not necessarily. I mean, it is the most recent movie I've watched, and it's definitely been on my mind a lot.
Okay, so but you had a different one that you were prepared to talk about, right? Or
I could talk about like 3 different movies I've watched recently. There was
Okay.
also a movie,
so
a Hindi movie
what
I
what
watched.
I'm going to say is like rather than combine yours, we'll
Yeah.
save.
Yeah.
Go with
Pick a
one of the
different
different ones.
Have
Yeah.
me pick a different one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just to keep give us as many
The
points
meat
of
of the-
view as
Yeah.
possible on this certain POV podcast.
Sure.
Heyo.
But yeah, I mean, Into the Spider-Verse was great. Like, I adored
So
the art
good.
style. I loved all the characters. When I realized Nick Cage was in it, because
Yeah.
again, I knew too much, but I wasn't like actively trying to spoil stuff, so I wasn't like going too deep on it either. So like, I think I knew that Nick Cage had been cast, but I totally forgot that he was doing it. And I was like, "Fuck, that's Nick Cage!"
Yeah.
And like, all of his deliveries are just so Nick Cagey.
Right.
Like, I found that out the same way when I lost my uncle, Benjamin. Like, right after he had said my Uncle
Uncle Ben. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just like, of course, Nick Cage would say it that way, being like, "I'm going to empathize by literally saying the same thing, just slightly different, like, and not realize the irony of it all."
Yeah, no, I'm totally in love with the movie. I had been following it for a while. Like, similar to you, I kind of knew a bunch of the people who were going to be voicing it. I'd already been familiar with Shamik Moore as well. He was in The Get Down.
Right, I didn't realize that, but I remember you guys loving the Get Down.
Yeah.
So much.
So much so that I had to do graphics for it.
Yeah,
on the show, and I was
several
like,
times,
What the fuck is the Get Down? And I had to like look it up, and I was like, "What is this related to a Star Wars podcast?"
Oh yeah.
You know.
Sometimes Star Wars podcast.
Yeah.
The days of individual episode graphics for certain few.
Right.
You did a lot of work, man.
Yeah, especially Westworld. That's where you had to really
Westworld
stretch.
I really lost all the images that I could possibly work on for that one. I had to like start digging into the movies and like other promotional artwork, and I had to get real abstract with it. Like,
Just like the show.
and I hadn't seen the show yet.
I know, that's what's funny.
Likewise for the Get Down, it's like all these things that you just like threw at me. Sometimes the night of.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll never forget. Like I had like you gave
Hey,
me
can
like
you get this in 30 minutes?
yeah, you gave me like an hour to do a Walking Dead one, and I like somehow pulled off. I think my best version of you.
It was
zombies.
amazing.
Like,
Yeah, my zombified, the zombified Photoshop version of me was incredible.
I was really fucking proud of that one. I was like, I got the skin tone exactly.
Yeah. It was a dark vision into the future.
But back to Spider-Verse. JMike, what else struck you about it?
Oh man, what caught me off guard was his uncle being the bad guy, or one of the main bad guys, and I was like, oh man. And then he dies right in his arms, and I almost cried when he was like sitting in the back alley.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today, and
like,
how good a job they did making the Prowler, who was kind of a
Yeah.
joke villain in the comics, into like a truly terrifying thing, especially from a kid's point of view. Like it very much was like, well, he's probably like the B Squad hitman for like the Kingpin, but then they made him so fucking terrifying, and they, like with that music,
the music,
and the art style, where it's just like, oh fuck, it's evil Batman. Like, what are you gonna do? It's evil Batman coming for you.
Yeah, I was really surprised with this movie.
You were surprised,
that
really?
was-
Even
I
after
was-
all the hype.
Well, I mean, I thought it was,
Mike
You're a
never
bit of a
believed hype.
hater. You're a
no,
bit
I
of a
thought it was
hater.
gonna be more geared toward like kids.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
walked.
you thought it would be more like the DC
like Lego Batman
Lego
type thing.
movies,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I was like, okay, cool. And then
especially because going in there's a Peter Parker.
yeah, and I'm
I
like,
can see
okay,
that,
cool.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, especially like the scene where they're in the office with Doc Ock.
Yeah,
He's like tossing
So
Peter around.
good.
Oh.
The Doc Ock reveal is so
That was great.
good.
Oh my, what?
Well, when you think about like so much of the promotion, and like there's a lot of scenes.
Somehow that got avoided.
yeah, they were able to keep that hidden. That's incredible.
The design for the Doc Ock was really cool. The sort of like tubey.
Yeah,
kind of
because
Yes,
it's not
kind
like
of
the usual
arm,
metal thing.
like where it could like really retract and everything. Like, it,
Right.
like
But also Catherine Hahn's voice work on that, like she does really good, like sort of quirky, like obsessed nerd, like as the scientist, and then when she goes from that to like sadistic villain, like the range she has on that is incredible. Like
and
that
she,
switch,
and she still
she
brings in the
turns-
quirky nerd throughout it. Also,
Yeah.
like just so you stay like, oh yeah, that's still the same character. She's not like this isn't like a different persona. Like,
yeah. But that moment like that turns when
Yeah.
she talks
My
about
friends
like
call me Octavia Spencer.
yeah, Octavia Spencer.
I was like, what?
Totally different. That's a different movie.
What was that?
Octavia Spencer's an actress.
Oh, never mind.
yeah,
Whoops.
Hidden Figures.
Details.
Yeah.
That was really good. I really loved the when Peter B. Parker was outlining the plan to
Yeah.
infiltrate Alchemax, and I fucking love that detail.
Yeah.
That it was like reevaluate my
my
gender,
gender biases. Yeah.
yeah. I was like that slipped by me initially, and then
Yeah.
Carter, my partner, was like cracked up, and
Yeah.
she like whispered what had just been said. I was like, holy fuck!
Right?
They snuck that one in there, and it was such a perfect version of like a woke joke.
my favorite, probably one of my favorite jokes in the entire movie is when Miles throws back the bagel and it bounces
yeah.
off one of the scientists, and you see bagel written when it like knocks out one of those scientists. It's I like those little like flourishes
Yeah.
are like what makes this movie so charming.
I think one of the biggest laughs I got was when they revealed Gwen Stacy as Spider-Girl.
Yeah.
When he's talking about the hair thing.
Yeah.
You don't get to like
You
that.
you don't get to like the haircut.
I really like your haircut.
Yeah.
It was refreshingly good. Like I legit really, I'm still stuck in it. I really wasn't expecting it to be that good, and it really threw me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw it, I too went in with sort of skeptical hippo
Yeah.
eyes of like, how good can it really be? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
yeah.
Like, it took
And
a
then
while
I
for me to
left it.
watch
I was like,
too.
wow, that was amazing.
The
Like,
rewatches are incredibly
Yeah.
rewarding for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really, really, really good.
Yeah, because like I was afraid that it was going to be what was it? Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, like the Xbox 360 PS3 game, like basically that, but in like kind of a movie form where it's just like they've got a mission together that they have to go on, and it's all these versions of Spider-Man. But This worked so well. Like the fact that Kingpin had like his own driving force.
Yeah.
Like I mean, this is not the first time that this movie has been discussed on this podcast. And, like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good. It's so endearing. And like it's like I'm pretty sure multiple people have brought it at this point.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
as their main movie, and then other times they just talk about it because it's so good,
So good.
in dominating of the conversation. Like it is this generation's Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I see that.
I totally would. Yeah. I would. go
I mean,
there.
part of that is that it's an animated movie, but part of it is also that it elevates the form in a way that like sneaks past everyone. Like,
Yeah.
like Batman: Mask of the Phantasm was so much better than any Batman movie that had come before.
For
and
sure.
at that point,
Still one
both
of
of
the
the Tim
best.
Burtons had come out. Like,
Yeah.
and so much better than what came next. Like, so good that like infamously Siskel and Ebert just read like rather than do a review of Batman and Robin, they just read their review of Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, and like we're like, and this is why like Batman movies can be better than what we just got. Like, it was like this, like several years ago, this wonderful overlooked animated movie, like
Yeah.
and that's this movie. Like we just saw Spider-Man: Homecoming, which was good, but it wasn't amazing. Like it didn't blow me away that the first two Spider-Man movies did. Like
You see, it's weird because I feel like this is almost stolen thunder from that movie,
Yeah, it
which
did.
is a little
So
unfair.
unfair.
Yeah, because
So
here's the
unfair.
thing, like, here's the crazy thing, like, it almost feels like we were living in a world where we're like, oh, we're a little Spider-Man'd out, you know?
yeah,
But here's the thing, like, I would venture to say that right now we are like, okay, so we're how many Spider-Man live action movies in? So we have 3 with Tobey Maguire, 2 with Andrew Garfield, we have 1 Tom Holland, and now we have this. We'll let Spider-Verse go in there too, but we only really have 2 bad Spider-Man movies in all of those. Spider-Man 3.
we're gonna disagree about that because I like Spider-Man 3 more than I like either of the Amazings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know.
Wow.
It's fine if you like it, but categorically is it a good movie or bad?
I think it is.
Because in the same way, like I can like the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, but they are bad movies.
I think that if you really look at Spider-Man 3, that it, structurally speaking, it is perfectly fine. The worst parts about it are the parts that honestly were just jokes that didn't land.
Well, I mean, even that, like, I've been watching some stuff and hearing different conversations about it, and I was pretty hard on the whole, like, emo Peter Parker, but recently I've come to, like, okay, now I can kind of see how that works out.
It's
in the
that Peter
script.
Parker's bad at being cool.
No,
Like,
that, and, like,
Well, see,
it's kind of perceived
that's not
as
even
to
the
what
part
he thinks bad
that I
is.
have a problem with is I feel like the movie's too jammed with villains
That-
that don't
the
have a
the
proper
Venom
arc.
stuff is rough. Like
Well, Venom, Harry, and Sandman all are short-shrifted.
Harry has had a full 2.5 movies at this point before you get to his like arc of this movie. So I'm
Right.
not that worried about Harry. In
Yeah.
in this
Yeah, so he's the least shifted in this,
Yeah.
but
Right, I would say that I would say
Still
Harry
a
is given
problem.
too much of an arc in this movie. Like if
Yeah.
the whole amnesia subplot would, despite being, we all forget about this, but like an intrinsic part of the Green Goblin.
Right.
Somehow, like I don't understand why. Like no one ever like is like, oh well, Green Goblin, that guy who like totally disassociates his personalities. Like that's never a descriptor for the character, but it totally is. Every version of
what
Green
he
Goblin
is, yeah.
Yeah.
has always been about like, oh, I've gone so mad that I have 2 different personas, and like sometimes I just wake up in a goblin costume.
Right.
Like that's just a thing, and sure, that's endemic of the character, but we spent too much time with him as a result. Like I think that we spent time with him, and he could have just been angry the whole
Yeah.
movie, and like come to understand things by the end. Because like he's angry, they get a fight, and then he's like nice for a little while, just to kind of remind us that like he had a good relationship with Peter, and only for him to remember before we get to the climax, try to like enact some vengeance, and then come around to everything.
Well,
like,
I get-
you could have cut out the whole amnesia
Yeah.
arc and just been like he's angry off and like sulking, licking his wounds.
I guess my point was more, it felt like the world felt like, oh, Spider-Man needed to be fixed, but we really didn't have that many bad Spider-Man movies.
No,
Right.
Ultimately. Well, for sake of argument, we really had one really bad Spider-Man
Yes,
movie.
like getting
Amazing
back to-
Spider-Man 2.
Okay, yes,
you know,
okay, yes,
is
all right.
really bad.
It's really
You
bad.
know?
Yes, coming back to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the
Yeah.
movie that JMike brought on our
Yeah.
podcast about movies.
not another pass.
Yeah.
An episode that's already been done. Actually, twice.
Probably a third time by the end of this episode.
More likely.
You guys did mention a point that I do really love about this movie, which is that the Spider-Man out theory that people had, that they lauded that the MCU version has like skipped his origin. Like they just like completely bypassed it. We haven't seen Uncle Ben. He just sort of makes passing reference to it. Like we all loved that they were like, fuck it, we don't need to do a Spider-Man origin movie. Like, can you imagine if Civil War opened with the origin of Spider-Man?
Right.
Like that would have been way fucking too much.
Yeah.
But this movie trolled us by having the entire plot be like the
Origin
representation
after
of
origin.
origins.
Yeah.
Like it's arguably the origin movie, like the origin movie where everything about the plot is origin movie. So it's like the origin of one character set is our prologue leading into the first act is the beginning stages of the origin for like the bigger plot, and then every like plot turn occurs because of an origin story. Like they made the whole goddamn movie this thing that we said we've seen enough.
Well, what I like about this is something that I also like about Homecoming as well is that both of these movies, despite the opportunity to really go big, and they go big in some moments, Into the Spider-Verse more than Homecoming, but they know when to stay grounded and have simple, fun moments. Like Peter in school in Homecoming and sort of the Ferris Bueller elements of it, you know, like all of that. But then like when you have in Spider-Verse, you have a lot of moments with Miles where he's just like, he's in school, he's having trouble with this new school, but he's also more comfortable in his old neighborhood. You also have I think one of the most fantastic scenes is when you have why can I not remember the actor's name? He's in Atlanta. He's the dude who plays the rapper in Atlanta. Is the guy who voices the dad. Brian something. But
Jeez.
The father's having the heart-to-heart with Miles through the door while Miles is all tied up. Like that heart-to-heart in that moment is like they have these incredible grounded moments. So they don't sacrifice those moments just for sort of the high concept action of a multi-dimension, like having a multi-dimensional, like, you know, a collider and all of this. I mean, we simplify even something as simple like something like a USB key, call it a goober. Like that was something that I really enjoyed. That it's not afraid to. Like,
Also,
it doesn't.
all of them understood that term.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that Aunt May understands the term.
Like
you
all
know?
of them understood it because like all Spider-Man eventually are just like so sick of whatever MacGuffin it is.
Right.
They come to the goober.
Which is great, like a great way to handle the MacGuffin and understand that like it's not about the MacGuffin, it's about the character arc that we're going through. And this is a movie that really understands that, and it's self-referential, but it's also takes its plot seriously as well. It does like that's why like it's almost. This movie made me even more disappointed that Lord and Miller weren't able to pull off Solo. You know, and I think it's because I think they thrive in animation. I think they know because like I read a lot about this movie took longer than they were planned to. Because they kept on coming back and they kept on bringing the cast back to re-record segments because they kept on wanting to tweak and reevaluate stuff and then re-record and then rewrite and then edit and then reanimate and stuff like that. So that can work. With animation, live action, blockbuster money, that's a little tougher to do, you know. Maybe they can do that in comedy easier, but, you know, with 21 Jump Street, but it's a little harder to do with Star Wars money. So,
right. I have a hot take about this movie, which I'm trying to figure out the way to like Scott Thomas it, where I say that this thing is the X of X. So I'm going to go with this. Peter B. Parker is the Robert Downey Jr. of casting choices for superhero movies.
Yeah.
Peter B. Parker is the one that I didn't realize I needed as my version of Spider-Man. Is the most definitive version of Spider-Man I can imagine. Like he's the one that I've always wanted so much more. I never thought that I needed the schlubby like fighting not to have his marriage fail. Like down on his luck. Like in the adult form of Spider-Man. I never understood that I needed that version of Peter Parker so bad until I saw Peter B. Parker.
Yeah.
Like everything is going so wrong for him, but he's still so goddamn good at his shit.
It's also and that's something like I always get frustrated when I hear Marvel talk about how they hated having Peter stay married to MJ.
I can't get over them breaking that up. I thought it was such a great character growth.
And this was such a good testament to how that relationship is just like such a part of that character's heartbeat. and like that you don't need to have like not every character needs to be playing the field to be interesting, you know,
Right,
like that's not a necessary element. And that was such like that growth for this character, like just the fear of having kids and having a chance to mentor someone and learn that like, you know what, he is okay with this.
Yeah.
For that for
I
his
want
character
kids.
arc.
I don't know if I want kids now. I kind of want kids now. This is not that bad.
Like he was such a perfect Peter Parker. Like
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So that was apparently they considered casting Tobey Maguire to voice that
version.
that
I
particular
thought he
one.
was going to be the Chris Pine version.
No, because that is actually the Sam Raimi one. Because even though the dance is you know the dance is referenced by the Chris Pine one,
Right.
when you go through the montage in the Chris Pine one, MJ
succeeds.
is the one hanging from during the kiss, the upside down kiss.
Oh, yeah.
MJ is hanging upside down in the Chris Pine one, but in the Peter B. Parker one, the Jake Johnson one, it's him, and it's more that one is connected to the
That would be great.
the Sam Raimi
I
movies.
always loved Movie Bob's idea of they should have just tied the Sam Raimi movie in
with it. They kind of
and
did.
But no, I mean to the MCU. Just have them like for Civil War, like go off and find Peter Parker, and then he could die, or he could be like just brought in, and he's like this veteran superhero. That was New York scale, and you can establish real quick that he was like fighting alien monsters, but in Queens.
Right.
You know, like it doesn't have to be as big a deal that it would. You know,
He didn't team up with the Avengers.
right?
all
Yeah,
this
he
time,
wasn't
yeah.
on site because he wasn't part. He's not that scale of a superhero, and like
Yeah.
that would have been such a cool thing. Like, and
Yeah.
this, I just love the idea of like continuing that character in that story. So, yeah,
Good on them.
I'm fine with that.
This movie for me reminds me so much of the comic book when I was growing up, and just reading like the silliness and the lightheartedness of it, even though there's really serious things going on, like and I think that's why the Spider-Man comic book and the Spider-Man character has gone on for so long.
Yeah.
And then why people love that. Like, I mean, that's a surefire win every time.
Like many successful runs of characters have been like, we're doing a Spider-Man story, but we're tacking on these powers instead.
Right.
So like when Kyle Rayner became Green Lantern, it was like, we're going to do Spider-Man instead of Hal Jordan. Like we're going to do Spider-Man, but he's got a Green Lantern ring instead of a spider bite. And like, that's how they like approached the character. And it was like, oh yeah, people, I mean, obviously a lot of people are like diehard Hal fans, and I probably should have chosen a less controversial one. But like,
You can like both.
the people who like Kyle Rayner like him for that component, like
Right.
this idea that he's going to achieve something because he's given the opportunity for greatness, but that he is like a very human down on his luck guy naturally. Like people like taking that Spider-Man persona and being like, we're going to Spider-Manify X character.
Because we all feel that way a little bit. Like, it's so easy to look at our lives, even though they're all really great.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's very easy. Like, our minds are naturally wired to look for negative to keep ourselves alive, evolutionary wise. So, but it's very easy to feel down on your luck, even when things are going pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can still have that feeling, and it's easy then to identify with a character that does that. Good movie, JMike.
Yeah.
Oh, I will
Got a
say,
lot of
like,
We
in
could go on
closing-
for hours about this one.
I think, like, in closing, like, the thing that caught me, the after credit scene, I was expecting Spider-Man 2049?
2099.
2099 to jump in sometime in the movie, but the after credit scene made it all worthwhile.
Yeah, that was great.
No, wait, you!
Getting the meme in there.
Yeah, I was like,
great.
oh, they got it. Okay, cool. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been really mad if Spider-Man 2099 had no cameo, but
Yeah.
but they had the Alchemist reference, so I don't know if I would
Yeah.
have really been that mad if they didn't do it. But like, I'm so happy they did.
I was like, what are they going to put for the after credit scene? I was like, this is so good. I don't know where they're going to. Oh my God, they did it. Yes. The meme is worth it. I was so happy. I'm just wondering how the Long Way From Home, the new Spider-Man movie.
Far From Home.
Far from home.
How's that going to match up to this movie?
It won't.
It doesn't need to. I don't think it needs to. I think it's just as long as they continue. Tom Holland has his own set of charm for who Spider-Man is. If anything, I think this movie proves that there's so many versions of Spider-Man that we can enjoy. Like, I'm excited about reading some Spider-Gwen, especially. Like, I know like vaguely some of her origin story and some of the dynamics, and like so like some moments that she talks about are a little bit more. Like, there's more subtext. There's more, well, not subtext. Like, I know a little bit more of her origin. So, like, some of the lines she says that would go a little bit unappreciated if you didn't know, have a little bit more meaning for me. But so I'm looking forward to. She's getting her own spin-off movie.
Oh, she is?
Yeah, and then Miles Morales is getting getting a sequel as well. So we're getting that, and in her movie, I think they're introducing some of the other Spider characters. I think Jessica Moon Silk, and I think we're getting Cindy Moon Silk, I think, and Jessica Drew Spider Woman are supposedly going to be involved in those movies as well. But then, Far From Home is
Are those going to
thing.
be all on Disney streaming, or are those going to be actual
Well,
theatrical
so
releases?
the thing is, though, any of these Into the Spider-Verse movies, these are Sony.
Still Sony.
So I'm not suggesting a Sony buyout needs to happen now. But they should at least make a deal with streaming or something with Disney just to get on there at least.
It makes sense,
you know?
right?
So
they could come up with some money. Change hands.
I think they have their own service right now that they're trying to market, but I'm
sure
it's not. I'm sure that one is not going to have nearly as much.
I bet you'll be able to find it on Hulu or on.
I got one.
They'll find a way.
I got one in the Google store.
Oh, you bought that one?
Yeah. No,
I think all these future movies.
Yeah, I already bought it, so I'm good. I'm gonna rewatch it enough. So, yeah. I'm looking. My next rewatch, though, I want to really watch for their use of the number 42. We talked about it on a little bit on Certain Point of View, but it pops up a couple times and is really interesting the way that they use it. But I didn't watch for it the whole movie, and I want to see kind of where they use it a little bit more.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a great movie, and a movie about hope and joy that I think
what I always think of when I think of you, JMike.
So my movie. So like Addy, I can't do the most recent movie I watched because I've watched a bunch recently just for another pass, and I don't want that to just automatically be what I'm talking about right now because it's coming out soon enough. So the movie I'm going to talk about right now is a movie that I watched with just rage in my heart.
Oh.
But guess what? I'm back on my bullshit, and I'm bringing a musical. I watched Cry Baby.
Holy shit! I forgot about that movie.
So did I.
Johnny Depp.
So did I. So I had one of the worst weeks of my life last week.
That's a movie?
I don't know.
So Cry Baby.
You too.
Clearly, this is a white people movie.
Because you'll understand in a second once I say the source of it. So Cry Baby is a 1990s musical.
You're right.
By John Waters.
Okay.
Who inherently does weird white people movies.
From Baltimore.
I don't think that's weird. Yeah, he's from Baltimore. It actually was mostly shot within walking distance of where we are recording this right
Really?
now.
Yeah.
A lot of it was in Jessup, which is where my office is. It's where I get coffee. Around Catonsville, all the stuff in this territory between Baltimore and DC. And then some stuff was actually in Baltimore proper. But so it is a musical from 1990 starring Johnny Depp, set in the 1950s about a group of street toughs, sort of. They're the counterculture group, and their opposition with a group of preppies, and this Romeo and Juliet story that goes on inside of it between Crybaby, Johnny Depp's character, a man who just will only shed tears from one eye because he's saving the other eye because of the pain he feels from the loss of his parents. And then I forget the actress who plays.
No, that's actually a plot point, boys. You need to pay attention.
It
to
does. Anyway, so it's a cute movie. I realized it was suggested to me by my partner, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen Crybaby." And it started. I'm like, I haven't seen Crybaby. I swore to God I've seen it, but I had not apparently. I probably have seen things on Comedy Central back in the day or some other network that was desperate for content because I guess it's a comedy, but I don't know. Anyway, it's very much his second. It's either a sophomore or it's he hadn't quite hit his stride yet for Hairspray. So if you're familiar with that movie, it's that kind of vibe, but not quite as eloquently stated. It maintains his love of the grotesque. It is shocking that he's able to put it together because Waters was infamously a low budget director, and they've got some decent stars in it, and it's the music itself is catchy enough. It is very weird. It is this very gross version of Grease in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's almost like a trauma version of Grease.
Yes.
It's like a trauma version of Grease. But yeah, I could have swore because I remember when the musical came out on Broadway right after Hairspray, in the wake of Hairspray being a huge success, and I was like, oh yeah, well I've seen the movie. I don't really care. And had not. Now, that said, I went into it not wanting to watch this movie because I had one of the worst weeks of my life last week. I was super tired, and my partner wanted to put it on when I was trying to go to bed. I just wanted to fucking go to sleep, and I was so goddamn angry. And I was like, I don't understand why you're putting this thing on. Like, I just said I'm getting into bed. Like, I've been awake for almost 24 hours, and that's been almost every day this week. Like, holy shit, let me go to sleep. No, I want to watch this movie. I said, we have other rooms in the house with other TVs. And I lost this argument because that's how it is. Anyway, and I enjoyed the movie. Like, I did. I did. I was so tired. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep before the movie was done. But I still, like, I enjoyed that I was watching it, but I was so mad to be put in that situation. And none of you guys have seen it, so like,
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, honestly. Like, it's so long ago that I don't remember a lot of details other than, he won't
it's
cry.
real weird. Everything about it's real weird. And Johnny Depp has some weird stuff going on because like the Amber Heard stuff is like, I'm hearing counter arguments of like substantial evidence, like as opposed to like him beating her, like she faked some of it and
Not only faked it, but
and like actually
could have actually been the abuser.
like the abuser.
Yeah.
So that's like a crazy kind of component. And I'm like, man, I don't know what to believe yet. What's the meaning? It's all a lie. What's true? Jesse Smollett. I don't know. But so there's that with like Johnny Depp, and then there's just like movie musicals. Like I knew John Waters. Like I worked with him, or rather, I didn't work with him. I didn't work on a John Waters movie, but he came and checked out stuff when I was working on Step Up 2 because he was friends with Adam Shankman, who was the director of the. He was the producer of Step Up 2, and he was the director of the remake of Hairspray. And I was his assistant. So, like, we went out to dinner and stuff. Like, it was an interesting fixture of Baltimore. Like, anyone who's worked around Baltimore, it's dropping off now that he's been dead for a couple of years, but, like, at the time, like, everyone knew him. Like, if you were doing a thing around Baltimore, you flat out knew him. And if you saw him, you'd be like, John, it's me. Remember me from that shoot? Like, that. And he was like, this happens all the time. And I love these people. And then he would, like, go back to me, like,
No idea who that was.
Coffee? Like, but very nice guy. Had an electric chair when you walked into his house, like right in the front door.
Yeah.
Like, interesting fellow. So there's that component, and like it's this hometown hero kind of thing. And then just movie musicals. Like it was an original property. Like he was like, yeah, I just want to make musicals and make it as a movie. Like anyone else would be like, oh, I just want to like I would love to do this big grandiose thing, or I would stage it at a
Playhouse, yeah.
But instead it's like he gathered the money, put all this like marketing material together for each one of these, like got investors and just fucking shot a musical. And that's so crazy. That's awesome. Like I wish more people were that like aggressive about it. I think like the closest modern person like that is Rachel Bloom doing Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And that's still much more of like a in the studio kind of thing. Like,
yeah, that's got a lot of money behind it.
Yeah.
Oh, good movie, man. That's an excellent choice. I forgot about that thing, man. Totally forgot about it. Isn't there
guys
like
have
a
no
pink
thoughts?
Cadillac? Isn't there a pink Cadillac or something in that?
Their main car is like this weird painted black Studebaker with like fire designs on it. Yeah, it's real weird. There's like this whole thing about like the preppy kids like attack all these like poor kids, and then all the poor kids are taken to jail.
Oh, of course.
For it, yeah. And like Crybaby, because he's an orphan, has no one to like sign him out, so he's like completely stuck, and that's like a much more terrible thing. For him.
Oh, that's
Even
right.
though-
And it's got who's it? Kim McGuire, Ratchet Face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Iggy Pop is in it, and there's like a very
That's her
weird.
face.
There's a
I
very
just should pick Addy a picture.
yeah, that's a big plot thread in there, and like Ricky
Okay.
Lake is in it, like which isn't surprising because of Hairspray.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're going out of their way to make all. There's a lot of weirdness going on.
A
That's
lot
John
of
Waters.
weirdness,
That's
yeah.
John Waters.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Naked Iggy Pop when they walk into Johnny Depp's home and he's just like in a bucket, like scrubbing his junk. Like that's his introductory scene.
All right.
Yeah. A very young Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
The youngest I've ever seen Willem Dafoe. Like I've seen him in stuff earlier, and he looks like way more like haggard. And in this,
Okay.
but it's a cute movie, and it's a musical, and I
Yeah.
like it's fun to talk about musicals. Like it so often becomes like the domain of like the animated movie because it's a little more
Yeah.
surreal. But like we just did one on Grease 2 for another pass, and it was like fun. It's such a surreal thing, but movies are an inherently surreal thing. So I wish I wish I saw more of it where it didn't feel like a prestige grab. Like either Star is Born or La La Land, you know?
I hated La La Land so much.
I didn't hate it as much as some people, but man, some people
it so
hated it,
much.
and I know why.
I hated it so much. My niece was like raving about it, and she's like, "You got to see it. You'll love it. It's my favorite movie ever." I was like, "All right, cool. Like, I want to be cool and hip. Like, what are the young kids watching?" I sat down, watched that steaming pile of crap, and I just tweeted and hated on her for like an hour and a half. Like, I hate you so much for making me watch that.
Ben, what did you watch?
I watched a movie.
Oh shit! Sorry, we
ahead.
totally skipped one of the most important things that we're
What's
supposed
that?
to do here.
Oh,
which
three-word
is
reviews.
Three-word review. Yeah.
Oh shit.
JMike, what would be your 3-word review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? Doesn't have to be a sentence.
Oh my God.
Matt
Just
likes
3 words.
Matt likes sentences because that's easier for him to like come
To
up
grasp.
with on the
Yeah.
spot. But you could just be the 3 words used to describe it.
I think I have something.
Try animated? I don't know.
In fact, like I have something that I think JMike would say.
What?
All the spiders.
God damn.
I know. I figured it out.
There it is.
That's
There it
exactly
is.
what you would say.
I was trying to be like, I should come up with something more eloquent, you know?
Right.
Be a big person for a change.
All the spiders work.
Person for a change.
Oh my god!
Somehow
that's
I
fantastic.
think I've left Case's mind for a moment and hacked into
I
yours.
can't say
Worst
that.
part is
They'll
I
make
was
fun
like
of me.
just thinking about that.
Yeah, no, because Crybaby just pushed me out.
I want nothing to do with that.
This is too white for me.
Addy and I are trading glances like,
Yeah,
we don't know
we're
what the fuck this
Whoa.
is. What? Oh my God.
Don't you remember the 1990s Baltimore comedy about starring Johnny Depp?
It was a musical.
But yes, all the spiders. There you go.
Very good. Well done.
So my 3-word for Crybaby would be weird but fun.
Weird but fun. Very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
Because it's so fucking weird. Like
It is super weird. I
so
remember.
weird, but it's
It
like
looks
well
weird.
shot. The choices are all good choices. Like throughout, but it's like man, like,
Waters was a weird dude.
Yeah.
He had some stuff going on inside that head, man. I love it.
Mhm.
I'm here for it. Absolutely. My movie, speaking of the 90s and earlier and things that remind you of home, I picked a movie from Netflix called The Dirt, which is a movie version of the Motley Crue story as told by
Oh
Motley
yeah, I was
Crue.
reading about that today.
The reason I chose it is because I've been having my mom's been having a lot of health issues, and so I've been having to spend a lot of time with her. I've been taking her to hospitals and doctor's appointments and so on and so forth. And so she's been on my mind a lot. Now, when I was growing up in like 1981, 82, I was in grade school, and I remember like my mom was always very different. Like, and I always knew that my family was very different. And we had like this, I don't know, it was a church group, and you know, it was like me and the other kids and stuff. And I think we were like making fun of our parents, you know, like little kids do. Like, oh, my dad's so dumb, like he does this. You know, the stuff that my kids say about me. So I remember they were like, well, what about your mom? Like, you know, what is she? It's like my mom, like they were making fun of the music that their families liked. Right. And I was like, and they were like, well, what about you? I was like, well, you know, my mom likes this group called Motley Crue. They sing Shout at the Devil. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, like she's really into that album. Like she plays it all the time. And they're like, oh my God, like my mom like listens to Creedence Clearwater Revival. I'm like, I know. My mom's pretty bitchin'. So I grew up like listening to Motley Crue and loving Motley Crue most of my whole life, and I had followed their career. So it was fun watching this movie, like just from their perspective and their version of the story of how they came together. And it's really very funny. Like they do a lot of like segments of the movie are done in from perspective of one of the members of the band. Like you'll get a part of the story from Vince, you'll get part of the story from Nikki, you get part of the story, so all four versions as the movie is going back and forth. And then occasionally they'll take it even a step further and they'll like break the fourth wall. And like there's a scene where they're like where something happens and then they go, and then one of the characters just turns to the camera and is like, no, that actually didn't happen that way at all. That guy wasn't even there. He was like, but I kind of like the way this is playing out, so we'll go with it.
So this is like Jersey Boys, but like
kind of, yeah.
Like
yeah.
this is the same like narrative structure as,
yes.
as like a man. So yeah, this actually sounds like, I'm assuming there's a lot of music going on.
Of course, a lot of Motley. I mean, it's all Motley Crue's
the
hits.
Jukebox musical that is Jersey Boys, but for Motley Crue.
But for Motley Crue, and from their perspective, and it is so much fun. Those guys were insane, so insane. The amount of drugs that particularly Nikki Sixx did is legendary. And they have a couple really fun scenes where, like, because they went on tour with Ozzy, and so they have a really fun scene with Ozzy, where you get to get to see what their version of some of the stuff that's the legends that have been told about that tour. And it's both amazing and horrifying at the same time. Where you're like, oh my God, how insane were you guys that this was just like normal behavior? Just trashing hotel rooms. I mean, like all of the heavy metal, hair metal band cliches that you can think of, like
They're all true.
All true from those guys. Like they did them all and created most of them. It's an amazing story, and it's amazing that they're all alive. There's a lot more tragedy in their story. It's really interesting. Like they all go through an arc, and they all go through different types of tragedy, and it of course it breaks them apart for a while, and then it brings them all back together again. And it's actually a really heartwarming story about friendship and brotherhood and overcoming your past and your demons, and finding community with a group of friends that have something in common. They were all looking for something, and they found it in each other. And it's not what I expected out of a Motley Crue story.
Right.
I was expecting, of course, there's going to be lots of drugs and sex and rock and roll, but I didn't expect there to be so much heart in the story. I mean, they did an amazing job of telling that story and conveying that in a really unlikely story. The cast is phenomenal. Mick Mars is played by what's the guy's name? The guy who plays Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones. Yeah. And he does a great job. So good. Machine Gun Kelly plays Tommy Lee. Had no idea Machine Gun Kelly could act. He does a great job. He does a really good Tommy Lee. Like he's dead on. They have like a little montage at the end where like you see the actor and then like the real person. And it's good. Like they're good. They're really good. Like they really worked hard to get it right. And obviously Motley Crue helped produce it. And it was good. I actually really recommend it. I didn't think I would. I was just like, oh, I'll get into this because it's Motley Crue and I'm into the music. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's a really fun movie. Like because you and I were laughing about this the other day. Like we've seen enough movie biopics.
Yeah.
Or like I feel like it's already been done.
Yeah.
Like they're all kind of the same.
Especially artist biopics especially.
Yeah. And even though
it's all the Dewey Cox story.
Yeah. And even but this one felt fresh. It didn't feel like just a remake of Ray.
Yeah.
But like that's the funny thing. Like I'm pointing out that the story structure is very, or at least the way they're presenting it, because they have to conform to the actual facts. But like is similar to like the Jersey Boys scenario. But like it's fun because like you're taking a different person's story and inserting it into this like this format and trying to like mold it in, and sometimes that can be like its own like kind of artistry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they do a really good job. It made me want to read the book. Honestly, I just kind of wanted to see like what else is in there because obviously that got shortened up because I think it's only like a 90-minute film, so it's not.
That's all.
Yeah, it's not super long at all. They go through the 80s real quick.
I mean, that's probably how it was for most of them.
Yeah, basically. One of them had like $1,000 heroin habit a day.
Jeez. Shit.
Yeah.
How is he still alive?
Wow.
He didn't. He died.
Oh, okay.
He died. Yeah. And
That's not right. I should.
But the timing was impeccable. That's the thing. Your laugh is just an acknowledgement that the timing was impeccable.
timing is everything. That's the true gift of comedy, is when you can make somebody laugh when they don't want to.
I'm so mad at myself. We have an opioid crisis.
Yeah, and if Nikki Sixx was taking care of that for us in the 80s. Now that he's sober, it's spread. It's gotten out of control. We need Nikki back. Yeah. He did die. He actually did die, and they had to bring him back in an ambulance. They had to give him. I think they gave him 2 of the adrenaline shots in the heart to get him going again. So, yeah, like a lot of there's actually a lot of really bad stuff. People die, kids die, marriages break up. It's fascinating story.
So, what would your 3-word review be?
Sex, drugs, rock and roll.
I'm going to allow it.
I slurred it. There's hyphens in there.
Yeah, I was about to say with that.
It's hyphenated. It's one word.
Actually, it's apostrophes. It's like apostrophe and apostrophe roll.
Yeah, sure. That's how I would do it too.
Yeah, no, that's cool. All right, that works. Addy, how about you?
I got to go back quite a bit for a movie that I think we can do on Screen Snark because my most recent
a lot of porn.
The story is really good.
How did the Bowsette story tell? How did it make you feel?
No, because my most recent movie,
when she said, "I want that mushroom, Mario," I want that mushroom.
there were a lot of bullet bills.
Give me a 1-up.
And Lakitu was filming the whole thing.
Oh my god! You put some thought into this.
I've been playing a lot of Mario lately.
The best part is I was starting off from a real porn, and now I just want this hypothetical one.
Right.
Hold on, I'll get it for you.
Never to watch it.
Never to watch it. Right? I'd watch that in a heartbeat. I'd watch that right now.
I'm not into the purely digital stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So these are the movies that are in a different spot.
Yes, then we have to add another one to that intro.
Welcome to the new Certain Point of View podcast, Porn Snark.
No, Screen Snark works fairly well.
Screen Spunk.
All right, so Into the Spider-Verse was my most recently watched movie. I also watched The Iron Giant, which is what we talked about for Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And then Captain Marvel for my third rewatch of Captain Marvel.
All right. So what'd you watch yesterday?
Right? Yeah, no, I've done my third rewatch of Captain Marvel, but obviously I think they're holding that one right now, I think, on Screen Snark, so we're not going to spoil any of that. So the other movie is actually a foreign film, that's rare for me. So this is not like my instinct at all. It's a Hindi movie. I watched an Indian movie in theaters. So yeah, like that's my most recent one.
What was it called?
It's called Badla, which translates to revenge. It was a thriller, like a murder mystery type of thing. No, and actually, there's no dancing in this. No Bollywood.
Lie.
No, I know that was sort of the weird experience. So I was actually planning to watch Hotel Mumbai, which was a different movie that got pushed back because of the New Zealand shootings.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a movie about the bombings in Bombay Mumbai, and it was based on the real story of I don't remember how long ago that was. That wasn't too long ago, but a bunch of guys went through Bombay just shooting up the streets and setting off bombs, and then they sieged this particular hotel, which is a really prestigious hotel, but there was like 1,000 guests who were trapped in there and 500 of the employees there, and it's sort of their story. But so I was supposed to see that, but that got pushed back, so it's not out yet. So I'm probably going to see that this weekend instead. And the reason I'm seeing all these movies is because I have my AMC Movie Pass. This is not like normally the type of movies I would go see. But yeah, I went to see this with my mom. So, we saw this movie instead. Badla, which was a revenge thriller. It's about this young businesswoman who has an affair with a photographer. She has a family. He does too. And there's this whole like she ends up in a hotel with him, but then she wakes up and he's murdered, and she's the only person there. They can't find the murderer, and the whole story is kind of structured with her talking to an investigator that's been hired by her lawyer to try to do witness prep as they go through and try to prep her for court, essentially. And it's a revenge story. It's pretty predictable. I mean, I don't understand Hindi, so everything was about reading the subtitles for me. And so that sometimes, like, hurts the moment of a reveal, like, when that impact happens. So that was...
the text is either up too soon, or it's
right,
a
you've
little
already
too
read,
late, and
yeah,
you've already figured out, like, what the...
Exactly. And it wasn't anything particularly special. I think it was interesting seeing... So this is, like, maybe the fourth Indian movie I've seen in the last couple months. Or Hindi movie, I should be specific. So I've been, there's a lot of like I've been, watching movies with subtitles, and this was one of the first that, even though it was an Indian movie, it didn't have any Bollywood style dancing to it. A lot of the others did. But it's interesting seeing, like, especially now seeing some of the trailers for some of these movies, some of them that are moving more towards this, like, there's the Bollywood stereotypical dancing musical aspect in a lot of movies. Like, we saw one that was like a war epic that was basically like Indian Braveheart, essentially. And we saw a trailer for one that's basically Indian 300, except not as many abs. Which actually looks kind of...
is Delhi!
But it actually, like, the production value on a lot of these movies are really, really bad, but this one was really good. So it was interesting seeing sort of, like, I mean, I don't know enough about the Indian, movie scene, but it does feel like they're trying to be taken a little bit more seriously internationally right now, especially with some of these releases and with some of the actors they have hired in it. Like, I know I'm going back to Hotel Mumbai right now, but like Armie Hammer is in it and Jason Isaacs is in it too, and other people that we've seen in a lot of American movies are in it.
Yeah,
so
there's like a big push in international movies to like bring in American elements because America dominates the pop culture of moviedom. Even though Bollywood, last I looked, was doing 3 times as many movies per year as like the California
they pump out lots of movies, but with very low production value.
But like for example, like I was in a Bollywood movie once.
Oh yeah,
go on.
Like I was an extra. It wasn't like a big thing, but they were shooting it in Philadelphia, and like part of it was like they wanted to be shooting like a thing like
on location. Yeah.
Well, the funny part though is it was a movie called New York, and it was supposedly New York, but it was being shot in Philly.
They'll never know.
Don't tell them.
But that's part of the movie
New
industry.
Yorkers are going to be so pissed.
Like that's just a part of the movie industry, though. Like I actually used to
like
work
Vancouver is everywhere.
Yeah, like I used to work in an office where like our job was finding places in Baltimore that looked like parts of other parts of the world, which was a fun job. And like, so an upcoming episode of Another Pass is going to be on Captain America: Civil War, and I was like looking around, being like, oh, I see what they're trying to like look like there. Like it's all like I think it was all shot in Pittsburgh, but like there's like I'm like
I thought it was Atlanta.
Sorry, did I say Civil War? Winter Soldier.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, and there were like shots where I'm like, that's like I think they're trying to be the naval yards, but the highway doesn't work like that right there. Like it's close, but like I know what they're trying to do, but it just doesn't quite
not
fit.
really that.
And that's only I didn't have that thought when I lived here, but had moved away. Like I have that thought now, having spent several years like delivering to every restaurant in the city.
Right.
Like, I was like, oh shit, okay, well that's. Yeah, you're doing a good job. I know what you're doing, but like that's not.
But if you actually know where it is, it doesn't work.
And then at one point they just totally drop the ball and they say 17th Avenue, and I'm like,
nope,
nope,
not even trying.
But the back to the point was that like studios in general, like work to have like areas that look like other locations, but you can only go so far. So like no city looks like a New York, or like pardon me, no city in the rest of the world looks like a United States city. So, like, even if you're doing Philly instead of New York, like, that still looks very different from any place in Asia, any place in Europe, and any place in Africa. Just because, like, cities just happen to look very different from all the different historical reasons and materials and whatnot that are available. Pardon me. Wow, sorry. And so that's sort of like a fun element that like you see other studios coming to America to get shots because they want to have that American element. The same reason they get like American stars to come into it. Like there's just a push to like be legitimate and like embrace the like this one dominating like prototypical kind of component of like Hollywood, where it's like before anywhere else in the world became like a major powerhouse in filmmaking, like Hollywood was a major powerhouse. Right. And so like every studio that wants to be taken seriously like wants to have at least a few things under the belt that like comes from that sort of like world of cinema making.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. So did you like it?
I thought it was fine. It was predictable. I was able to call 2 reveals.
Who done it? Who done it though? Who killed the person?
You care? Do you care?
I mean,
I assume
wanna know.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make sure you guys aren't not going to spoil it for you guys.
I mean, you know what a connoisseur I am for.
No, it turned out the woman was guilty, and she was, but she ends up being caught. Like the dude who's the investigator, like arrives early, and there's to interview her, and it's actually the father of the person she murdered. Well, another person she murdered. So like it's a whole like her trying to cover up a
series of murders.
Yeah, essentially that like started with an accident.
Guys are so sad.
And yeah, I mean it's like it's a pretty like twisty type of thriller crime.
Right, whodunit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I called even that the investigator was the father because there was just enough reveals and stuff like that. Like the parents of the first murder, the first kid who gets murdered, and there was a couple surprise reveals, but again like they were spoiled by the subtitles, so that was always kind of frustrating. But it was well done.
Like how would you like out of a Hollywood cinema, like where like would you put it on par with like what's the one that just like Affleck did with the dead wife or whatever?
See, I haven't watched any of those. That's the thing. So I don't.
Or like would you put it? Like how would you grade it on like a Hollywood scale?
Taken.
Taken's more action.
Yeah, but about the same level of production and
oh yeah, definitely
dialogue.
same level of production and dialogue. And actually, that the dialogue was sort of interesting because the investigator character was very interesting and very charismatic, and apparently is a fairly famous Indian actor who just this. I guess this is now his last movie. He's retiring, so it was sort of a big deal on that for in that scale as well. Apparently, but he was really good. Like the actors were all actually very good. And sort of the twists on the perspective and everything was interesting. But there was a lot of really interesting, like, them referring to Indian literature and drama and poetry as they're having these conversations was sort of an interesting experience of, like, oh, like, like, a different cultural experience because I'm not familiar with any of that. Like even like references to like the Bhagavad Gita, which is like the Bible for Hindus, was sort of like, okay, like this is a very, it was, I mean, it's a foreign experience, I don't think there's a better word that I can really choose for that, but it was very interesting trying to like sort of translate that to my understanding and sort of try to figure out some of that stuff on the fly. So that was sort of like just an interesting experience of watching something that I normally wouldn't have watched, but because I wasn't particularly crazy about seeing this particular movie anyway. But it was nice having the good production value.
At least you didn't hate watch it like Case had to.
Right. No, this wasn't God's Not Dead 3.
Oh my
God. Thank God I am not I don't have to watch that one. So this was a far better choice. And it's not having it was I wasn't forced into a Michael Bay Transformers movie either. So this again was still a much better choice. But yeah, it was fine. But if I had a 3-word review is reading ruins reveals.
Okay,
So,
ruins reveals.
yeah.
Oh, I like the alliteration.
Yeah.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yep.
It's alliteration and a sentence.
Right?
It works really well. Matt would love it.
It's a win-win.
All right, guys. I'm glad that we all had some interesting movies to like bring forward. I'm sorry, Addy, I made you like dig deep into your archive.
I know. Well, that's only because I'm watching so many movies now with that AMC pass.
Right.
So,
but also that
All
you're
your
just
podcasts.
rewatching Spider-Man again and again.
You're right.
Over and over and over again.
But so I've already been on Screen Snark before. So they
Yeah.
they had me on when I was up in New York last. But you guys haven't. So like, let's talk a little bit about why we're sitting in this room together, and we might as well start with JMike
Because we're friends.
We're friends.
We are friends. I love you all. I mean it. I do. I'm so happy to be sitting in a room with you guys right now.
But let's get to it.
But seriously, JMike, like talk a bit about yourself. Like you got involved in this from being the producer for certain POV when we were in the video phase, and like you're friends with him mostly from gaming and work together, right? So like,
Yeah,
let's talk about that.
Jeez, man, where did I meet you guys?
At GTS.
Yeah.
Because I met Addy first. I met
Yeah,
Addy
you did.
first.
Yeah, because I couldn't hire you that first
Yeah, I
time.
walked in and I was like, "Hey, I heard you guys looking for a job." And Addy's like sitting across on the black couch with his he had like a striped shirt on, like black pants, looking
Wow,
all.
you really remember this.
Wow,
This
this
is really
creepily
like, do you remember the song that happened to me?
No,
I
was-
do.
I was like-
Was it
like-
courageous?
If he walks into an interview and the guy is dressed like a referee, I feel like you could remember that.
I was dressed like a referee.
it was like a red and black and white striped shirt
A
on.
soccer referee.
So yeah, he was like laid out in the black couch we used to have in the studio, and he's like, "Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have anything available right now." And I was like, "Oh,
I just
Trust
ate
me.
it.
Trust
okay."
me, we hired way too many people already.
This is before it was 2009. I asked you.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was the summer before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were already hiring a lot of people then.
So I didn't meet
I already had
Ben.
like 4 assistants at that point.
I met you the next summer, and
When you did get hired.
yeah,
Yep.
Ben
So,
was like,
so this was for radio. What was bringing you into that? Like,
"Oh, before I even got to DC, I used to work on internet radio stations and things back home in Jacksonville, and I did that for like 3 or 4 years by myself.
Till
Have
the
you watched
Gators
Good
taste.
Place?
Yeah, I love it.
Back home in Jacksonville.
I am Jason Mendoza.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles is my favorite person.
I want you to start wearing the monk robes.
No.
Yo, let's get some jalapeno poppers.
No, but yeah, and then
Did you lose a friend who died in the safe by any chance?
No, I'm not. He's no pill boy. Like,
Anyway, so
Gene-
you're doing radio.
Yeah.
Gene, your pill boy?
So you're doing internet radio. Like,
yeah. Oh man.
and what got you into doing that?
Well, I used to memorize the schedules of all the radio stations, and I'd memorize how they would schedule those songs, because it's like high song, low song, high song.
This
And-
is just in like high school and like grade school.
Yeah,
when you're
mhm.
just like into music.
And so I could, really into music, like Queen.
That
and
is the
everything.
most insane detail to like possibly come out of this podcast, right?
Yeah,
I
and,
had no idea that you had that level of commitment to just song order.
no, like, because you can like pick it out and it's pretty predictable. So I was like, okay, I know what's gonna happen next. And so I was always good with computers, and I built computers and things myself. I basically taught myself since I was like 5 or 6 how to do it. And like one of the guys from my church wanted to do streaming stuff, so he asked me to come do it. And so he had like this empty room full of like antique computers and things, and like shelves of hard drives and things. So like I just put everything together myself and started streaming, and he helped me with commercials and the spot breaks and things. And I was like, all right, cool. I came up here for radio school or communications and things. And that's
Your
where I met
life is
these
like
guys.
the modern version of like Pump Up the Volume.
Kinda, yeah.
Where it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
well, I just had to like hack all this stuff together to create my internet radio station. I had to like take the hard drive from this thing and solder it to the power source from this guy, and all of a sudden I was able to like just put up
Yeah,
what I
like-
wanted to listen to because I
Yeah.
memorized the patterns of the radio station.
Like, I was laughing because like when I was growing up, you have like the top 40 magazine stuff and the really
We listened
really,
to a lot of the same stuff growing up,
Yeah.
for sure.
and
When radio was
I'd
still
like
a thing.
to say I'm fascinated. Like I had no idea like your background, like getting to the point where we were in the room together.
yeah, like and I met these guys and
And everything changed.
You'll always have Tatooine guys.
Suddenly colors.
You built the computers for them to be able to play. Like
oh no,
Oh, he ended up being our assistant.
yeah, like
He
both
was
of their
first
assistants.
He was first Addy's assistant.
I was
I-
your
I-
assistant.
no,
I was
you-
your
no,
assistant.
Oh, you were
for-
mine
Yeah.
first?
Yeah,
and
'cause
then
you-
I got rid of you.
You used to ridicule me because like when I first started working at GPS,
Because we started trading assistants because Gene,
Yeah.
one of your close friends, got hired by Brennan. But there wasn't. What ended up happening is there were a lot of assistants who got hired. Just like they just started hiring people, but they would never have enough work for them. And so people would just start coming up to me and be like, "Hey, do you have anything I can do?" And I
That's
was like,
because you didn't know this, but the rest of us all got together and like, if you have an assistant who's not doing something, just send him to Addy.
right?
That's true.
And yeah, thanks. Yeah, yeah. That's how I ended up getting like at one point. I think I had 8 assistants. But yeah, so they just kind of kept on coming to our direction, and eventually you got one, and that was JMike.
Yeah, because when I first started working at GTS, Ben would give me like this huge stack of like CDs, and he'd have me program it into the system. And I'd do it like an hour, and he's like, "Oh, that's great. I don't really have anything else for you to do today."
Sit here in this chair.
Yeah.
He's like, this
Eventually, I think you started sharing him with me. Like I gave you assignments too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Oh,
And then eventually you became my assistant, and then eventually I made sure to trade you back before I left.
Yeah. And then I
So you
fired
wouldn't
him.
get fired.
Yeah.
And then I fired him.
yeah.
Because if you can't fire your friends, what's the point in being the boss?
Oh, whatever. You were pissed when you had to fire him.
I was pissed.
Yeah.
They really shafted both of us on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some. That
That's
was
what it is.
ugly
That's some
situation.
real foul vascular.
Hardcore. Yeah, I had to grow a tough skin that day. So we.
Case, how did you get here?
Well, I think.
Or
I
is
think
that,
like,
since
I
you've
think we
already
have
been
a-
covered on Screen
Yeah, I've already
Snark.
been covered, and I think I can connect the dots on that one because that we didn't really talk about on that episode of Screen Snark.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested in figuring out the roots of this tree, which is the 3 of you guys, because like I know very clearly, and it's through Ben, and we'll get to that one. But the 3 of you guys have a much more like deep connection. So like Addy, how did you get to that radio station?
How
So
did you, Addy?
I grew up listening to the station that I worked at because it was connected to our church, our denomination. So like very ultra religious upbringing. We've talked about it before, but there's sort of a limited set of movies that I could watch, but I was allowed to listen to a lot. And one of the things that I got to listen to was a Christian radio drama that came out of Colorado
Such diversity
Springs.
of
Oh
material.
my gosh, whatever could it be?
Actually, it's pretty damn
really
good.
well done.
That is actually a really
No, I'm just laughing at it. It's like, well, like I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of movies or anything, but like they let me listen to all kinds of Christian rock.
Oh right. Oh yeah. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that was awful, and I couldn't stand even as a kid.
Some was more
some
of a
of that.
downer. Some was more just a spiritual experience that I felt in my heart.
Right.
Addy, is love a verb? Is love
Yeah,
a
I
verb?
know, right?
Is it still a verb, Addy?
It's still all right. It's just all right, man. We listened to a lot of the same artists, and we listened to a lot of the same radio drama, kids' radio dramas, and that was one of the things that like I at first like coming out of high school I was planning to do I like all of my college applications were either were like theology, double major theology and poli-sci, because I thought I was either going to be a pastor or a political speechwriter. So a lot of
shit
lying.
either way.
Yeah, exactly. But then like I took a TV production class in high school, and then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Fuck all of that. And so I wanted to go into radio. There was a lot of like sound design, like sound just all of a sudden became my thing, because like I would actually record audio of movies and just listen to them, like just because I my mom was always like, you got to do chores or stuff while you're watching movies and stuff like that. So there was a lot of times I wasn't even paying attention to the screen, but I was already getting into sound design. Lord of the Rings was like she started loosening up a little bit on me in high school, which is when I started watching Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and all of that, and then starting to get access to like a lot of the behind the scenes for those movies. I was getting really into
Those
sound.
movies loved behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like there was a wealth of material for me to choose from, and particularly Lord of the Rings showed a lot of in-depth stuff and process. So I got a good opportunity to see that. So I had this radio station I've been listening to, which Ben Milton, in fact, happened to be on while I was growing up. So he was someone I actually listened to as a child.
Shit.
Yeah.
More than 10 years before I met him.
Like this is you met your hero and was deeply
No,
disappointed.
not hero, not hero. He was just a guy on there.
Just a guy.
But no, he's someone I heard on the air. I was more a Brian Seifert fan.
Shout out to powerful Brian Seifert. Funny man. Funny man.
But no, it is funny though. But still, like, you know, it's sort of a big deal that, like, you know, I remember, like, I do remember hearing Ben on the radio as a kid growing up. It makes me feel even older.
So old right now. Hurry up and tell this story because I got to go to bed soon.
And so I decided, like, I made my choice of colleges based on who had a radio station and any sort of production programs. And, like, Maryland had a radio station, but they didn't really have a good program. It wasn't like a legit station. I really narrowed down my choice to American University because they had WAMU, and I had a connection to get me a job there. And it was WGTS, which was associated with Columbia Union College, a Seventh-day Adventist school. And it came down to which was the one I could afford.
There you go.
And so that was the Adventist school. And I wasn't crazy about that, but I was like, I'm familiar with the station if I can get a job there. And I managed to get a job there with the production director. Like, within a semester, I was already working full-time hours because, like, he gave me like a project, like, that was just like, he had like orders, like CD orders of a program called Breakaway that were backed up backed up. Like, that's always been a part of, Breakaway was always a part of my experience there. But
Oh my gosh.
it was backed up 7 months, and I knocked it out in like 2 weeks. And then I was just taking on more responsibility to the point where, like, I basically, like, by squatters' rights, I got my own office at the station. And I always heard.
You held that office until I knocked the walls down.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thanks.
This puckish figure. I can't wait to find out the rest.
Because
but keep going.
So what was the interesting thing was, my boss, John Conrad, always compared me to Ben Milton. He was like, best production assistant we had. Like, and he said, I was like, I'm like the best since Ben Milton. And they would always talk about Ben Milton. And he was always, and Milton with the 0 was the password. So
Yeah, it
John
was.
really liked Ben. Like, it was a little troubling just how much he liked Ben. Like, which is funny because eventually, like, the station, like, went through like some drama, almost got sold, just barely didn't. And a bunch of people left the station, so they had some big openings, because like, even I was in the process of leaving. I got a job at Clear Channel overnights, but I was able to still stay, and I was able to double up with that. And that's when Ben came back for his second tour of duty at WGTS.
Yeah.
And I didn't like him at all.
I don't blame you.
I think because you actually...
It's because I intimidated you.
No, you're just a dick.
A phallus.
I think it's actually because you became friends with one of my friends, Kevin Hippolyte.
I love him.
Eventually, I came around and we figured out, like, you figured out that I played a lot of video, like, I just started playing video games again. I hadn't picked up video games for 3 years. And so
Because you were so focused on school.
yeah. And then you introduced me to WoW, and that disappeared. I stopped going to classes altogether.
Yeah, I ended up taking a class for him.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
he literally.
I paid you. I
he
paid you for it. Yeah.
He did. He paid me.
Wait. Back up. Tell the story.
Well, and then also we figured out we're Star Wars fans, and that was the
right.
big
No.
became
Yeah.
Back
really
up.
good friends.
Explain this part.
So literally, Addy says to me, he goes, you know, because I'm like, I started playing WoW, and I'm like really into it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm like, I want to play with my friends. Like, this is as close to D&D.
I remember
as
you
I've
showed me Halls of Lightning Run, and you showed me the invasion at the beginning of Lich King.
Yes, but before that, you were like, dude, I'm not interested. I'm not going to play this game. I don't have time for a game. Like, I'm in school. I want to focus until I get out of school, and then I'll let myself play a game because I know myself. If I start playing this, I'm not going to give
gone.
a shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's over. Like, forget graduating. It's not going to happen. And I was like, come on, Addy. Come on. You can do it.
Kept on playing in front of me.
I was like, hey, check this out. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And you'd be like, oh, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. And then finally you were like, all right, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So he started playing, and he was right. Like he didn't do
Oh, I installed it on my
anything.
work computer too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because even before that, because we played some StarCraft against each other on the LAN there.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh my god, we have a LAN here.
Let's go!
We finish our work in like 20 minutes after we get to work, and we're just shitting around like
Yeah,
you know.
because
For the rest of the day.
here's the secret about radio. If you were even like halfway intelligent, you can get your work done in like 2 hours.
And really, and a lot of us, a lot of our roles, all three of us, we were the kind of roles where a lot of our job kicked in when it was crisis mode or events. So we would get our normal workload done really quickly. And even while you were there, you and all the assistants, everyone would start playing WoW together. We had a
full guild.
Yeah.
We had a full guild just
I'm
in
starting
our
to get mad
assistants.
because of my current job, but then I'm remembering oh fuck, when I worked in the theater, it was the same way. It was, literally, I had a job for a while where I just came in just in case the air conditioner stopped working in the theater, and I just watched Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah, those jobs are
yeah.
nice for a while.
Yeah, this job was how I watched the Batman animated series and the Justice League series. I just had the whole thing downloaded. Me and my our boss, we had a computer dedicated to torrenting. Yes, totally to torrenting. Because he was going through all his nostalgic '80s shows. That's how I watched the entire series, A-Team series.
Because of John.
Yeah, because of John. I don't know if I still have it, but I remember getting Airwolf and a bunch of other stuff.
Holy
yeah.
fuck!
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a hell
The
of a
only reason
collection.
I have that staple of 80s television is because I had a stretch where I had strep throat back to back with chickenpox.
Oh my god, that's a hell of a run.
And it was the early era of cable where they just played fucking shit from the 70s and 80s. That was just everything that was TBS, Nickelodeon, everything was just we got nothing. I'm sorry. Cartoon Network had just launched and it was just Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
That's the only reson I have any sort of cultural understanding of any of that era.
Or some moonlighting.
Let alone being an adult.
But yeah, that was a crazy time. So, how did you get to WGTS, Ben?
Please tell us.
Well, I had gone to Massachusetts to go to college. I thought I was going to be an English major and be a writer of some kind.
We all have those dreams.
Right. I had a professor who quickly shattered them. Just flat out told me, you're not a good writer. She was like, you should probably think about doing something else. I'm like, all right, cool. So I did history, and then I did
way more productive.
Yeah, because I always wanted to work in a post office, and then I did criminal justice, and then I realized, I don't want to get shot. So around the same time, my wife and I had started dating, so I moved down here to D.C. And I went to University of Maryland, where I was a Japanese business major, and I never went to class because I've always hated school.
Wait,
was gonna
Japanese
say,
business or Japanese history?
Japanese language with a business and a business degree.
Okay.
So I was a dual major, but I never went to class.
I was going to say,
know.
I know people who were Japanese majors, and you are not one of them.
No, I was for a semester.
Right, you just don't come off that way.
Right. No,
Right.
exactly. But I've always loved that culture, and I would still love to study it. Now that I'm a little more serious about things, I could maybe sit through a class if it was online. But if I had to go somewhere, it wouldn't happen.
I think that's true of all adults. We kind of look back on our major and be like, man, I really wish I could have studied that, because it's the little bits that you hang on to are the parts that you're like, man, I love that.
Yeah.
The other day I was at a bar and I made a reference in passing to Proto-Indo-European, and someone was like, what's that? And I was like, well.
My college education just paid for itself.
And everyone listening to this can hear the glasses getting pushed up on my
Right.
face. Right? I was so excited for that moment, and it was a thing that I still had to reference Wikipedia on the fly to make sure I was right about things. But I was like, it's my major.
I'm saying things I learned.
I don't get to talk about this very often.
Yeah. So I got kicked out of University of Maryland. Long story short.
Smash cut 2.
Me being a bike courier and eventually one day falling and ripping up my knee really, really badly. So I was in a cast for a while. And my wife at that point was like, you should probably go back to school. You're not going to be a bike courier your whole life. You barely made it a year without hurting yourself. So I was like, okay, cool. So I ended up
Can't be
going.
a crutch courier.
Yeah, we're getting there real slow. If you don't need it there anytime soon, I'm your guy.
Snail mail.
Yeah.
Wait, was that accident when you almost ran over Clinton?
No.
Oh, that's
No,
a
no,
separate
no. I
incident.
didn't hurt myself on that one. I
Oh,
just,
okay.
yeah. Oh, I mean, I almost died.
Yeah, right. But that was Secret Service.
yeah. But yeah, it wasn't going to be my own doing. So I ended up going back to school at this college that I had mentioned, and my wife, I was like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I have no idea. What am I going to do? She's like, I don't know. Just take a bunch of general classes and pick something, you idiot. Because she was like already on like her last semester and graduating. She's been a straight A student, so like we couldn't be more diametrically opposed about our education process.
Or anything.
Right. We did take one class together. We took a world religions class together.
Oh, yeah?
I got the A. That's all I'm going to say.
I can see that. Yeah.
She did not do well in that class. So anyway, so she was like, well, take this communications class. It's general communication. So I took it. And one day, it was like in the first class, they came and they were like, well, we need one more person to fill the intro to radio class, and we'll let you skip this class, and you can go straight to that, and we'll give you credit for both. I was like, cool, I like radio. Ben liked music. I worked at a record store. Like, I'll do that. That sounds cool. And the guy teaching the class ended up being the general manager at the radio station, and which was cool. I mean, he was cool. He's a little bit older than me, but not too much older. So it was like, cool, young, hip teacher. And the radio station at the time was a classical music radio station, and one of 4 in Washington D.C. at the time, and dead last in the ratings. Like, couldn't possibly have less listeners.
Well, you guys played whole records.
Yeah.
It was one of your.
Yeah, it was. Oh, dude, that is my favorite time. My favorite time in radio is playing classical music, because the songs are so long, right? And like every other format in radio, like it's all about how tight you can get things. Like from one thing going to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, the next thing. No dead air, never, ever, ever. Like with classical music, like that format of classical music, like we would just let it. The general manager at the time was this old guy. Before John took over, it was this old guy, and he had 2 bad knees, and he had a cane, and he would just like walk down the hall after the song had already stopped playing. And then he would like get in, and it would take him like a good 30 seconds to get all the way down the hall, right? And then he would sit down, and then he would, sort of pick up his headphones and adjust his headphones, pull the mic around, look over at the thing, grab his sheet. You're in a minute now of like nothing on the air, but. And it was so awkward. Like, you're like, what's going on? And then he would turn the mic. That was Beethoven's 5th Symphony. So-and-so and such conducting. Up next, such and such and such and such with so-and-so. And then, and then he would hit the button, turn the mic off, strumble down the hall. I mean, there was like at least a minute and a half of just nothing happening. You're just like, what the hell? Like, all right, well, I guess this is normal.
Well, if you had the proper ear for it, you'd hear like the last reverberations.
Yeah, he was like, you're just letting the music breathe. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not wine, man. You wonder why you're dead last. So
Well, it's like that. So I've heard this general theory, and this kind of has. There's plenty of supporting evidence in specific songs, but like it's a general theory in terms of how we view classical music is that we tend to make it slow and to like be like, oh well, it's an older style of music, it's going to be a bit slower. Where like lots of lots of like compositions that we're familiar with are played at like a slower rhythm than what they were originally intended to be.
Oh,
because we
interesting.
see them as being this sort of like storied old production. And then like that's how we interpret like both like it's how it's supposed to be, and then also like if you're in the more rebellious style, being like, well, our music's so much faster, Mom.
Yeah.
We're
like
cooler
that. Than you.
Exactly. So there's like those components going on. So like for the people who are tuning in to classical music, maybe that's sort of, but maybe both the production side of this, like putting it together, and also the people who are actually like tuning in to listen are like expecting this slow, calming experience that we can then subject our children to in their cribs, and all will rest for this time as we sit down and have a nice glass of milk.
Meanwhile, John and I would be like eating pizzas and hoagies and stuff like that in between songs and just hanging out and talking and having a great time.
Can you imagine like a classical radio station that had like shock jocks? Is like
It was very much like if WKRP
with the full sound effects and being like the woo. Like,
it was very much
like we're gonna do a prank call right now, but first up, Bach.
It's your husband, he's dead. Dun 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 dun. It was very much like a WKRP feel to it because it's a small college radio station in this little shack, super low budget, and I mean we were just having fun. Like I said, John wasn't much older than me. He was like maybe 25, 26 years old. So he ended up becoming the general manager when that general manager retired, and then I became full time at the radio station when he became general manager, and I took his job. And we ended up switching the format to what was at the time contemporary Christian music, which would now be looked at as just garbage. And
even then it was.
And even then it was garbage, but it was what we could get away with, that the school would let us get away with. And so we did that, and I worked there for a couple of years, and then I got tired of it. I wanted to make more money because there wasn't a lot of money at that radio station. So I moved on to other radio stations and bounced around in the market for about a decade and a half. And then John called me out of the blue and was like, "Hey, listen, I need a music director." And we had stayed in touch over the years, but not too much. But yeah, he called me and was like, "Hey, I need a music director. Would you be interested?" And I said, at the time I was looking for a job, and I said, "Yeah, I'll talk to you about it." And I ended up taking the job, and that's when I met Addy. And I didn't like him very much either, to be honest with you. I thought he was just kind of aloof and he didn't say much to me. He was just kind of quiet and hung out in his little tiny cubbyhole office. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. Right. Your loss.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
And I don't know, like we started. It
was a meeting with Kevin. You invited him out to a
meeting. Yeah. And then and then shortly after that, like we got the iPhones had just come out, and John got us iPhones, and we both got like the Star Wars lightsaber app.
Yeah. And we started playing with that. Well, then we got Nerf guns eventually on our own and brought that. And man, we had epic Nerf wars in those studios.
Yeah.
I still remember my
hour-long Nerf battles.
Yeah.
At work,
it was amazing. I remember just the little circle that we had. I remember you came up on me once, and I did the side gun thing.
He
and
did
shot.
he's
trying to curve bullets and wanted.
He's curving Nerf bullets.
It was amazing because there was literally there was this rack mount that was.
And here's the shit of a case. It worked.
I got you right in the eye one time, and I couldn't even see him.
It goes whap right in my eye, and I'm like, "Oh, motherfucker!"
I remember I would also I'd take our rolling chairs and I would use that as cover while shooting. And there was one time where you tried doing that move on me, and I flipped the chair on him, leaned on it, and just kept on shooting.
Shot me in the face like 15 times.
Yeah, but you did worse to me as well.
I did some horrible things to you where I bloodied you one time. Like I just punched you in the face one time.
There was one time.
I don't remember how that happened, but I remember I took a picture of it and put it on Instagram or Facebook at the time.
Every now and then it pops up in memories.
John, our boss, was like, I bring it at home, just happened to see it on Facebook. He's like, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
Now, once you held me down and drooled in my mouth.
I did drool on you.
Oh,
yeah.
Tickle torture. That was the worst.
Tickle tortured you too, a couple times.
And wet willies all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, real bully.
And our offices were catty-cornered to each other. And my job was music director, so I would get phone calls a lot. Like most of my job would be taking phone calls from record reps. Like,
banana phone.
Yeah, so banana phone was a big thing where we'd throw this stupid phone banana back and forth at each other. But he would wait until I was on the phone with a record rep, and then he'd start throwing stuff at me, or like.
My favorite though was when you had I had an overnight shift, and then every now and then you would have a shift, and he would record. So my office was was basically Studio B,
production studio, yeah.
And whenever people are recording, I can hear everything. And he's going through his like self-conscious, like, I hate this read. He's going through, he's like recorded this one like 4 times. And I would always wait just before he would stop, like before he did stop, and I was like, oh my God, that was a shit take. Make sure it get caught on there, especially if it was a good one. Or I'd come up to the studio and start knocking on the window while he's recording. Oh my God! We had so much fun. There was all sorts of crazy stuff.
There was the time that you were working on some big
the slingshot
project
monkey?
Yeah, we had the slingshot monkey, but there was the time you were working on some big edit. And I just walked in and turned your computer off.
Oh my God!
You didn't save it.
I was working.
You fucking
on,
bastard.
It was a set of 60 promos for Christmas that had like the season's greeting, the holiday greetings from the troops.
That's
and I was putting them together. I just started, like, I was just on a roll. Like I got to 40 out of 60.
And I just walk in and go, whoop.
You motherfucker.
That's what he said.
I was so angry.
Oh
I did
my
not
God.
talk to him the rest of the day.
So what I'm hearing here in terms of just how we would stat this group here if we were playing D&D right now, which is that Addy would be the arcane archer fighter because he would just keep shooting you. Like, Ben's the
I've always been
barbarian.
ranged DPS.
Constantly.
I would play the paladin because I'm obnoxiously pontificating all the time, and then JMike would be the monk.
Yeah.
And this would be a terribly unbalanced party because it's just like, yeah, we're going to hit it.
Yep. I'm going to hit it a lot.
What's the solution? Like, I don't know. I'm going to hit it really hard, and then J-Mike's going to hit it a lot, and then Addy's also going to hit it a lot, and then Ben's going to hit it hard.
Sounds good. Let's
It's
go.
a good diversity of
Well,
plans.
since then, I've matured and become the healer of the group.
Yes. And I've become much more of the monk.
Right?
But yeah, it was fun. And then we started getting the assistants. And
Oh yeah, when we got the assistants mixed in, that's a whole, like, we'll go way too long if we start talking about any of those.
Yeah.
Including like when we trapped a kid in between 2 doors and left him there for 30 minutes.
Oh my god, you guys are monsters.
And the time that what was it?
He could have stood up any time and walked out. That's what's the best part. But he just sat there.
It's like, when you get a baby elephant and you chain them down, and then they grow up and they'll still stay there just because they have a chain on. That's what we did to him.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You had it easy compared to Constantine.
I know. Oh, I know. Trust me, I know.
His name was Constantine.
Yeah.
No, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was our kicking boy for a long time, but he deserved every bit of it.
Like he brought out like an angry old dad out of me, because there were times I'd yell at him and be like, "The hell?"
You yell at him like sitcom dads yell at their kids.
He was playing with this Wiimote, like just swinging it around. It's like, and I remember I said something to him. It's like, you know, like you gotta pay, like
If that breaks.
you gotta pay for it. It's like, yeah, I know. And he kept swinging around. It's like, yeah, I meant put it down.
Yeah. Oh, I miss him.
I do too.
All right.
We had so much fun. So then we started working together, and then we started playing video games together.
Yeah.
And then we all left that radio station and went our separate ways, but we stayed in touch, and we kept doing stuff. And when I got fired, I started doing a podcast, and Addy helped me with that. He
And
produced
I had
it
been
for me.
already starting the process of doing a podcast on my own with another friend as well. So we both were like kind of on the same, like already on the same track at that point.
Yeah, and so one thing led to another, and then a certain point of view came around. We decided we wanted to do that show, and we started it. And then, as time went on, we brought you and JMike, and then everything grew from there.
Yeah, on that note, so like my connection for you guys was I knew Ben from playing poker,
Right.
which was an interesting era of
Both of our lives.
yeah, for both of our lives. Like there was like if people might not remember the poker craze of like 2007, like 2006 going into like 2008, and then it sort of dried up. I mean, not that poker has ever gone away, but it's like hard to monetize. But like this was like when like Jamie Gold won the World Series, and it was like this huge event that was like on ESPN two, like all the goddamn time. Like Moneymaker launched like the popularity wave, but this was like
when Jamie Gold won.
Jamie Gold was the peak because they did not stop playing that over and over again. It was like this guy who, like, they went into the final table of the tournament. 9 people sitting at this table. He had 50% of the chips in play. Like, everyone else combined equal to what he had, if not less. Like, he just had this dominating position. And he wasn't, like, that good. He caught it at just the right time. So fucking lucky.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, he was a
good
better
player.
poker player than any of us in this room. But, like...
But he was still lucky.
And, like, but people shit on him also because he was not, like, the masters who were, like, teaching classes either. But he got so fucking lucky, and it was just this huge thing, and it just hit right at this right moment where, like, enough people were, like, watching ESPN2, like, after hours, like, consistently, and, like, Celebrity Poker had, like, its thing, and Poker After Dark was, like, every station, like, cable,
looking for some
broadcast,
kind of poker
whatever,
story,
had some kind of poker thing going on. Like, Full Tilt and, like, all these other websites were really big. This was well before Black Friday. Like, this was in, like, the full craze of it all, where everyone was just trying to, like, get online and play poker. It was huge. A lot of people were setting up, like, free games. And so I got connected right out of college because a couple of friends of mine were like, hey, we're going to go to this thing. And I was like, great. Like, I don't have, like, regular days, or, like, I don't have regular nights out because I was waiting tables. And so I'm like, I'm just going to book this night as, like, my night to go play poker, and it'll be fun, and it's pub poker, so it's all free, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but whatever, we'll sit around and have Guinness and, like, hang out at, like, in downtown Bethesda, and then I'll go home. The weird part was there was multiple leagues, so we, like, joined one, it ended, and it was gonna start up eventually, but someone was like, oh, at this other bar, like 1 block away that you guys don't know as well, like, a new league just started. You want to go in there? Like they're like 2 sessions in so far, and, like, there's this, like, this point system, and we're like, cool, yeah, fuck it, like, we'll go play. Flash forward to all of a sudden, like, I'm running goddamn tournaments. I'm being sent to, like, weird bars to set up new games. Like, I was getting paid to do it. It was like an extra chunk of my income. Like, because I can't take on a project without, like, overwork myself. Like, I can't. I was super invested.
You have commitment issues. It's just in the other direction.
I'm, like,
You're way too committed.
Yeah, like I'm that guy who's just like, no, I super love you.
Dude, we just met.
But yeah, so, like, I got sent to, like, one of these, like, poker games that was like, oh yeah, they get good crowds, but they need someone who's, like, more energetic. I was, like, being sent to spots that, like, they had a hard time getting people in to try to, like, boost, like, return players, and, like, that's where I met Ben, and we hit it off pretty well in general. But, like, my job was literally just to talk to everyone and be, like, friendly with everyone and get, like, people into it. I was being paid like $50 a game. It wasn't like a lot of money. I don't know why I was doing this.
You needed the money.
It was insane. Yeah, I did.
And you got to drink a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Like, and, like, we started incentivizing it where if people, like, bought drinks for the tournament directors,
you'd get more chips.
I never was, like, quite as bad as some friends who had, like, nights where they were just gone because they, like, people just wanted to win. Because we had, like, a big bonus for, like, Irish car bombs.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
1,500 chips.
This was a phase. Like, there was a lot of Guinness being thrown around. There was a lot of Baileys. There was a lot of, like, car bombs in general. And then there was, like, Soko and kamikazes. And it's like, this is not a good flavor profile here that we're all drinking.
I brought in the kamikazes. I'll plead guilty to that.
I was doing a lot of those, too. Because it was like, it's never going to be anyone's, like, end of a night. It also won't it doesn't hurt as, like, a slow start to a beginning of a night. Like, like, wherever it falls, it's probably not going to push someone over the edge. Like, you're probably
It's a safe drink, yeah. And refreshing in a hot day.
So we were just, like, casually friends, and then I moved to New York, and then when I moved back, I was promoting Kickstarter, and that's why, like, Ben reached out, because, like, we'd stay casually friends, like you had worked on a gig when I was in town on like a PA project, AV project, whatever.
Yeah,
it was a big business conference that we were setting up projectors for.
Projectors and mics and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I was like, hey, anyone in the area who'd like could use some money, shoot their resumes to this guy, and he did, and they hired him. And it was like, like, we hadn't seen each other in like 5 years.
And it was great to catch up. Yeah, really. Oh, yeah.
And then, like,
because we had actually, like, at that time, back in the poker phase, like, we'd even worked together there because you got me a gig where we dealt for a couple charity games.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it worked together doing that.
Yeah, like, poker was such a huge part of our life together, and I don't think we've ever talked about poker since a certain point of view. And then, so then that was the Kickstarter episode that, like, brought me on for Starship Farragut, and flash forward to being like, oh yeah, we're having, like, fun conversations. Let's do more of these. And then we were doing movie reviews, like night of screenings, and Then I was like, hey guys, here's a fun conversation I used to have with Jeff Moonen. Do you want
Right.
to talk about like how you would have done the prequels different? And then it's like, that's a good idea for a show. Let's do that. And I was like, I also have this rule book for the Star Wars RPG. This is why we're sitting here. And I was like, and you know that guy who I used to talk about the prequels with back in the day, Jeff Moonen, he's got his own show. He's been hosting with me for a bunch. We should bring on his network. And then certain point of view happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we were just like, let's just be enthusiastic and try shit, like all over the place. So,
Which, if you're out there and you're thinking like, oh my god, I don't know what I should do, I have to do it perfect. Like, just do it.
Do it.
yeah, just
Just
do it.
do it. That's the
There's
best
so many
advice ever.
projects that I've tried to like put out like perfectly, and like no matter what, you're gonna look back and kind of regret the first time you
Yep.
try anything. You might as well just like get it out there and just like keep doing it. As
Yeah.
Yeah.
opposed
And learn
to-
and improve and redo and
And sometimes magic happens, and then sometimes JMike joins you. You know, hey buddy.
Yeah,
Oh.
but like that's
And it's even better than magic.
he's the Jum Magic.
Don't start that again. We ended that phase like 4 years ago. No more of that. Okay.
Oh no, we haven't.
We
We've
never
always
did
come.
that.
We have a
Talking
lot. We've
about-
always. Oh yeah, the nicknames were bad.
Yeah, so there was like a phase at GTS where like every other day they came with a new nickname for me.
I forgot about that.
Like, I'd walk in
that
and
was
then
bad.
hey, I'm like, what? To make it worse, like one of my closest
Treebeard
friends.
is one of my-
I'm
it's still one of my
assuming that,
favorites.
hey, and then you had like a little ellipses right there because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because who knows what we said, what came out of our mouth at that point in time.
One of my closest friends, Gene, he was like the ringleader. And I'm like, how? Why?
He would.
thought we
He
were
would just make
friends.
fun of it, and I would just run with it.
Yeah, I'm like, I thought we were friends.
Treebeard is still one of my favorites, though,
Yeah.
especially because you took those stairs like you were marching on Isengard.
Sir.
I still remember.
I remember
when you
getting mad at
stepped.
I remember getting mad at JMike and chasing him out of the building. And he just
I kind of vaguely remember
running
that.
across campus. And I couldn't keep up with him because I was really like I think I was probably still recovering from my pulmonary embolism.
Oh man,
Those are fun times.
Yeah.
those are crazy times.
I'm so glad that we're doing this though.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we're part like, that all the all these other shows and
Screen
people are-
Snark and
Yeah.
everybody
Matt,
else.
yeah,
is-
Matt and MJ and Rachel and Jeff and Hans, that they're all part of this now. Like it's fun. Like it's everything I've always hoped it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got more people on the way too. And
Yeah.
I still gotta. I know MJ's even asked about like sort of establishing something because I know there are other people who
yeah,
are
she
interested in
and I have
joining,
been like
too.
talking about some other stuff. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's the barrier of entry is so low. The only question is like, is it worth our effort? Because like we hit our limits in terms of what we can do.
Right.
But yeah, we've got a lot of like fun ideas for things. Certain point of view, it's a great network. You should check out our other shows.
Yep.
But before we get into the final thoughts and like our final plugs, I was trying to find desperately the list of things that they thank before the show ends, and I can't find it anywhere in our Discord server. So I just want to say thank you to the people who have made this show possible. Matt and Rachel obviously
Yeah.
have put a lot of work into it. It's been a blast listening to the show. We're so glad.
So talented.
We are so glad to be here and like hijacking their thread for this particular episode that is so long. And for everyone, I can't remember who did the original art. I can't remember who did the theme. Thank you guys out there in the world. But before we go, this is a question posed to all the people who come on Screen Snark. I'm the only one who've done it so far, so I'm going to like throw this one at you guys, and then we'll do our final things. What movie trope would you take from movies and import into your real life? So like I had mine, which was that I have supreme phone anxiety. So I would love to just be able to like pick up the phone and have all the information dumped into me at once, and then like immediately be like, okay, thank you, and then put it down and just know everything that was trying to be conveyed by a phone call. What trope of a movie would you take? We're going to start with JMike, who is the theoretical co-host of this show, and then we're going to go back to Ben and Addy.
Oh man. Oh, I know what they're gonna say about me anyway. Was that the whole Treebeard joke? Is that I take forever to like make up my mind about certain things and make decisions. So if I could, I guess, be more aggressive with that whole thing, the whole like intuitiveness, I guess.
Have like that leading man like
Yeah.
split
Okay.
second
Decisiveness.
Yeah, decisive,
decisiveness.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that
See,
would be great.
I was imagining the like the reverse montage or like the time delay kind of scenario for you, where it's just like it would just be really fun to be able to like have to think about something and just like pause and then just see the sun travel across the sky in the background. But
That
okay,
would be
so
good.
like the
Yeah.
leading man, like
Yeah, the
just
leading role type thing.
like just to, like get that line where it's just like you'll catch a cold virus, computer virus.
I know.
All right, Ben.
I would I would take the workout montage.
As long as that's the only like the actual time of the workout.
Yeah,
yeah, that'd
and you
be
get the
awesome.
same results where the guy's like all buff at the end. And I'm like, oh yeah, I would love that.
Can you imagine like the reverse version of that, where like you also felt all the pain of that workout, but all at once?
All at once. It would almost be worth it.
Yeah,
Like,
really
really, like having to deal with the hours that I would have to put at the gym to look halfway
You just start
decent at this point in
walking
my life.
You're like walking one day, and all of a sudden, like the crippling pain hits you.
Yes.
And you like double over.
Well, that's happening. That's happening already. That's just part of getting older. So yeah, I would totally do the workout montage.
All right,
That'd be
and Addy?
amazing.
I don't know. I would love like I guess a trope that always stands out to me is like a conversation that happens and then the conversation picks up clearly like several like at a much later time, but it like just picks up right where the previous conversation left off, even though those characters may have even spent time. Like I like that snappy Seinfeld like dialogue. I want to like that. I want to be part of my real life. I want to have that kind of back and forth.
Just the back and forth quippiness.
Yeah.
You want the editor. Like this is what we do.
Yeah, I need an editor.
Yeah,
in-
like it's what
in
I do
life,
with like
yeah.
Nerfherders, where like I explicitly like cut out all the back and forth like or like the gaps in time, so it
Right.
can just be boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it reads more like how our text chains read. So
Text chains are great. You're
Yeah.
missing some stuff on Discord.
yeah.
Check out Discord. And I think on that note, we should just move on to like talking about our pluggables, which is Discord's a big part of it. If you go to our website, which is certainpov.com, you can find links to all of our shows, but you can find a link to our Discord, and our Discord is so much fun.
Yeah, it's the community where we just hang out. We talk all sorts of nerdy stuff, all sorts of movie stuff. If you're a Mass Effect fan, it's definitely the place for you because the Reignite
God, yeah.
community is
So lively there.
Is so lively there.
Let's plug the shows that aren't ours.
right?
They're so much better than the shows that are ours.
And sometimes in real movie news, we're like, guys, talk to us about the movie.
I felt so bad because I was so overworked yesterday, and Hans like put one out being like, "Any thoughts about the latest episode?" And I was like, "I have thoughts. I can't stop. I'm literally holding shit."
Whereas we're just like, well, whatever we feel like sharing at the moment, including if it's like your Taco Bell plans.
We do have an announcements channel
Yeah.
for that.
Meanwhile, Men of Steel has the ever fun me linking to my rant on Twitter about
That's
Superman
right.
analog.
It's a log of the day.
Fantastic.
We had a good Captain Marvel discussion in the Man of Steel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
channel
yeah.
as well,
That was good, too,
Especially
yeah.
about the power
Yeah,
set.
I was really annoyed because I was listening to the Real Movie News and Reviews, and I kept pausing because
Yeah.
I had thoughts about it that I was like tweeting because like it was a morning where I I went to work and I was like up, but I wasn't like it wasn't super busy, so I was like listening to it and I was like putting in a message, and then I'd like hit play and Addy would say literally what I had just typed, and I was like, oh my fucking god, like
You too.
I was like,
I know,
well,
right?
well, maybe she really is binary at the end of Captain Marvel, and maybe like after Infinity War, she's going to damage the Tesseract and not have as much power. And then I typed that in,
And
then
I say
hit play,
exactly
and it's like,
that.
well, maybe she's at her full power. Maybe she's binary in this situation. maybe she's going to get nerfed in this movie by damaging the Tesseract and not being at her full power. I was like, fuck you.
I clearly have a type when it comes to my friends.
But all of those conversations are being had over at our Discord server, which you can find at certainpov.com. Meanwhile, while you're at certainpov.com, you can find the shows that we actually host. Ben and Addy, thank you so much for coming on Screen Snark, this show hosted regularly by me and JMike.
Always.
We can find you mostly at the Certain Point of View flagship, sometimes Star Wars podcast. Care to talk?
No, we're good.
yeah, it's a sometimes Star Wars show. That's all you got to know.
It's mostly whatever's on our mind. I mean, it revolves a lot on Star Wars.
Yeah,
does
it's mostly Star Wars. Every now and then we'll talk some MCU. It's hard not to talk about the MCU while it's as good as it is right now.
Or other things that are going on in our lives, too.
Yeah.
So we just like to have a nice, casual, easy-going conversation about whatever's on our mind, really,
Yeah.
from our own point of view.
Yeah, the show's been going really great recently. Like,
I
have
feel it's
not
really
been
hit its stride.
super invested in Resistance, but like it's like that's fine though, because like I don't feel like I'm being spoiled by everything. Like it's
Right.
like that one element of Star Wars. It's like, oh, I'm keeping up with Star Wars this way. Like that
Yeah.
felt really good for me. And like beyond that, it's like talking about Star Wars pop culture, and it's been a really good tear.
Thank you.
recently, So
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like we've really hit a good stride in the last.
Yeah. We've had some fun stories lately.
Yeah, and we got some more. I got some new ones.
I got
too.
stories for when I'm on next time.
I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. New rite of passage for everyone who comes on. And to find out what that rite of passage is, you got to listen to certain POV. So you guys should be checking that out. Meanwhile, all of us are on Scruffy Nerfherders,
Yep.
which is our Star Wars D20 real play tabletop game that we've been doing for almost 50 episodes now. So that's me as the dungeon master, and then you guys as the players, having a fairly crazy adventure that the rails are just so gone. Every time I think that like there's the nope, sorry, that was a piece of debris.
I like to think of your plot points.
Those
as-
aren't the
as
rails we're
speed
looking
bumps.
forward
Speed
for.
bumps on my own. Little yeah, it's so much fun. It's one of my favorite shows.
We threw those rails into a trash compactor long ago.
Yeah.
When this episode drops, we will have just put out the second part of our two-parter crossover.
I'm so excited for that episode. I've been like craving that episode like crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
with
so
Let's
excited.
Rewatch, those guys like came with amazing characters. And
Yes,
it's
they
so,
did.
so much fun.
Mac Reba.
Yeah, oh, man.
Mac Reba.
He's the best.
Like the fact that like on the not the most recent episode of this time, but the time before, they were getting in trouble for committing a crime, and then they figured their way out by committing the same crime. I was like, this is great. I can't resist it. It's too good. Tons of fun.
Another show that I think is really hitting its stride in the
Yeah.
last couple
Oh
episodes.
man, yeah.
Meanwhile, if you're more interested in just this side of the aisle, we've got JMike and me doing Men of Steel, where we talk about Superman and iterations of Superman.
All day, every day.
Yeah, when this episode, well, not every day, it's
Well,
a
yeah,
bi-weekly
well.
show, but
All the details, case. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a bad promo. You don't want people expecting it's like, where's my Man of Steel
every
episode?
day.
the Daily Zeitgeist comes out once a week. All right.
So tired talking about Superman.
Fuck you, I would never be. No, in fact, I literally
No,
do
you
it
would.
every
No,
day.
I know you wouldn't.
I'm trying to make up for last week because I literally didn't have time to like just stop and type about Superman on Twitter. So like this week I've been doing 2-a-days, like trying to catch up.
Make goods.
But yeah, like we could totally do that if we wanted to. But in the meantime, we're bi-weekly having conversations about some aspect of Superman, be it the actual character, be it specific runs on the book, be it just characters who are inspired by or feel similar
To Superman.
Yeah, so that's why we did Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel, alien superhero with like cosmic powers who can like tear through a spaceship. That works really well.
That sounds so familiar.
Yeah. So, I forget how they end the show. I think it's like
I
we'll
don't
see
think
you
we
at the
knew.
movies.
Maybe. I'm trying to remember.
Can't remember. I've listened to every episode a lot.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
tell you guys to stay scruffy.
This is the song that never.
No.
Take on me.
Anyway, take on me. So it's been a blast jamming our way into this particular podcast threads. I'm sorry that if you weren't expecting this, that we invaded your RSS feed
To be this
But
long.
Also that,
If you made it all the way to this and then you're still not into it.
but it's been a blast sharing this time with you guys, and I guess we'll see you at the movies.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Hey there, movie fans. It's me, Rachel Quirky Shank, hopping in, hoping that you loved the certain point of view switcheroo for April Fools. But I did want to take a moment and say thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of his song Aurora, and a big thank you to Katie Bug for our fantastic artwork. Love you guys so much, and we'll see you at the movies.